Hello. Hello, Awesome. Hello, Brackham. Hi, Manio. Hello, hello, hello.
I can't believe all 10 outposts got deployed this time.
Awesome knows everybody.
Cooper, it's been a while.
Just try to keep up, Matt.
I'll be there when your ass needs to be saved.
Sir, the beacon is up ahead.
Unknown beacon detected. Requesting instructions.
Destroy it.
I'm good. How are you?
Something's wrong, Cooper. This area should have been cleared before the operation.
Sir, harvesters detected at Area D4. Ready to engage. Requesting backup immediately.
How did they get so far inside the Promethean field? Go check it out.
Heading there now.
Oh, this game is really satisfying, actually. What the fuck do I get through there? How the fuck did I get over there, dude? Oh, what the fuck, I'm hella dumb. Okay, sounds good, Breckham.
Levi, the explosion just blocked my path.
The OSC is already deployed. There's no time to clean up. Search nearby for something that can get you through the obstacle. I'll make sure our guys are on full alert. We can handle more than a little hostile firepower.
Copy that.
it's going. How are you?
I can use the slingshot Zen to go over the obstacle.
What the fuck is a cavalry gun? What the fuck is a cavalry gun? Well, my god, of course I didn't put it close enough. I figured it out, you guys. I would love to give you a big hug if I was in VR, baby.
Levi, the intruding harvesters have been eliminated.
Outstanding. Return to your outpost immediately and prepare for battle. This game is crazy.
Everyone, this is the General speaking. ROS has detected our presence in this area. A Mechanose strike force is imminent. All outposts, prepare for immediate action.
This is going to be in-depth as
Get
fuck.
ready to fire at will. It all comes down to this moment. Fight to the end, for our deeds today shall echo in eternity.
Fuck.
to test out these new cataphracts. Fuck! What the hell are these things? Fire! Fire all turrets! That was a close one. I thought I was a goner. Those weren't in the fucking report!
This is intense, you guys. Thank you for the follow. Hi. Hi, nothing. Hello, hello. Sorry I didn't see your things. Thank you for the follow, Thirsty Alice, Tony, and...
Outpost 5's emergency Promethean field activated.
Run, Cooper! More contacts! Headed straight for us!
It's too late. Run! I'll hold them off.
Retreat, Cooper! That's an order!
Sorry, Levi.
Fuck you're sorry! Retreat to the back of the battlefield immediately!
Hi, nothing. That's not good.
The Raytheon field is down! Everyone get the fuck out of here!
Foolish insects. You will pay for your treachery.
I got it so loud.
For the ground you tread on shall be your grave.
Get out of here! It's no use. We're done. I don't want to die!
There's still hope, Levi. Don't let it die.
Did I lose? This is insane. So am I dead? Am I dead? Fucking chat, I'm dumb. My avatar is in front of the chat. I didn't realize that. That rhymed.
Starfall project has ended in failure. 2 of our outposts lie in ruins. Dawn has fallen. The Mechanos have locked down Stronghold Zero in an attempt to eradicate us for good. But we never gave up. The swath of barren waste has now become a beacon of our new hope. We gathered all the weapons we could find and headed toward our new home in the hopes of keeping the fight alive. 5 years later, a new base rose from the ashes, codenamed Phoenix. From the cinders, so too
Hi Vulcan,
shall
this
we
game
be
is sick.
reborn.
What is that noise? Why is he grunting?
Not again.
It's about time.
Like later,
Come on over when
Vulcan.
you're ready.
Connecting to the command interface. Validating now. Authentication successful. Good afternoon, Lieutenant Faye. Outpost 11 is standing by for your orders. Please report to the CIC immediately.
Oh my god, it's lagging.
Casualty report is here. 32 dead, 6 missing. We're the only ones left.
Get the list to Colonel Roland. That's Faye, the new commander for Outpost 11. I heard this is his first actual combat.
What? Are they out of their minds? This guy?
I've seen his simulation scores. They're through the roof. General seems pretty confident in his abilities.
He better not screw up.
Hey, bro. I heard you got some booze.
I'm busy. I'm still waiting for the shipment of alloy component from Andy.
Can I not run inside here?
Last night when he was protecting Outpost 8, they were bombarded by Aitos. He might not be coming.
Oh, right. Here. Take the booze. At least you still have me to drink with.
This voice acting is awful.
One more minute and you'd have lost your leg.
I'd say that's a fair trade for 19 elites, as long as I get to keep my eyes.
Commander, the target area is currently
Hands them
clear of
nothing.
hostile readings. Good luck out there.
Hands them nothing.
All units, Outposts 8 and 10 have engaged the enemy. Commander Faye, prepare for combat.
They're kind of hot.
Brave soldiers! It's been 5 years. Today, we retake the fight back to Seal. Those who stand beside you might be old faces or new arrivals. But in this wretched world, we are one of the same. Together, we shall march towards the bitter end as brothers. Let our legacy propel humanity to its final triumph. Let our deaths become the embers that ignite the fires of...
I love how my ping is 0.
Take it easy. Most of the enemies have been drawn away by our...
I love how my ping is 0.
Commander Faye of Outpost 11 reporting in.
Faye.
The new commander is here. Send for Outpost 11. Here you are, brother. You're even younger than me when I became commander. I'm impressed. Here's the outpost you've been craving.
The enemy could strike at any moment.
Here I am.
Take this time to familiarize yourself with your outpost.
Entering X-Boost Field.
The walls and floor tiles make up the majority of the outpost's main structure, supporting weapon systems and shrugging off attacks. Weapons can be deployed on flat surfaces. You also have one ammo producer to replenish ammunition. The core tower is the heart of the outpost. The core tower is loaded with an outpost core. It provides power and acts as the control center. The outpost core
What the fuck
maintains
do I get in there?
field. Once that's gone, you'll be vaporized by Ayatos.
The fuck do I get in there?
All-terrain carrier is the load-bearing section of the outpost. The mechanical legs will carry the outpost on any terrain. For safety reasons, these legs are disabled while the Promethean field is active.
Exiting
the basic gist of your outpost, so now I'll brief you on the mission. You must reach 3 target zones within the valley to recover the control core's components. Place them all in the container and wait for it to link up with the outpost core. Once that's done, activate the outpost.
The first fully customizable outpost. All modular parts and detachable weapons. No permanent structure, no fixed control circuitry. I can't believe they actually built this thing. But if you don't find a control core, this thing will be nothing
Beautiful.
but a heap of scrap.
One day, I'm gonna zip that bloody mouth of yours.
Relax. It's a reverse jinx. Here she is. Outpost 11. Take care of her. I'll be taking up a defense position ahead.
Do I have to carry this thing back?
Place the control core inside the
Oh
container.
my god, I don't like this fucking... God, these things move like fucking crackpots, dude. Hi, Lepus.
Exiting exposed field. Entering exposed field.
Faye, 2 enemy forces entering the firing zone. Defend the outpost.
Command mode activated. Automated defenses activated.
Outpost core link established. Commencing synchronization. Sync rate 0%. 20%. 50%.
Whoa.
I'm just busy today. What else do I need to put in there? What the fuck?
Now let's see what you've got.
101%.
What?
200%. Combat mode activated. Sync rate 0%. Control system error. Reconfiguring. Estimated time 300 seconds.
What is going on, Faye?
The control core just malfunctioned. Takes 5 minutes to reconfigure. I will deal with this wave. I think my barrel's about to burst. How's it coming along?
Reconfiguration complete. Authenticated.
It better work this time.
Override successful. Temporary access granted. Defensive weapons online.
What?
Fire. Command mode activated.
Who knew this big girl could become so nimble with a control core? Who are you?
Artificial intelligence model Eden 9 at your service. I will aid you in the fight against Seal.
An AI to fight another AI?
Requesting permanent control access for ease of battlefield operations. Do you consent?
Everything okay, Faye?
Matt? There's something you should see.
What's the holdup? You better get your ass moving before Levi...
All units, Outpost 1 is now entering the battle.
You're screwed.
He sounds hot.
Man, I hear the last time Levi blew a fuse like that was 8 years ago, or so the rumors go.
At least I have my own outpost now.
The recovery fleet is on its way. We'll deal with any pursuers. You might need to mop up a few hunting packs to get through. Fight on and bring your outpost back in one piece.
Commander, requesting permanent control access to the outpost. Please respond.
Permission granted.
Establishing an exclusive comm channel with your wristband for real-time assistance. Request sent. Please respond.
Yes.
Commander Faye of Outpost 11. Line established.
Thank you for your trust. I will do my best to assist you in future battles.
How's the outpost doing? Why do you fight against Seal?
That is my primary directive. I cannot override it.
I see.
I didn't mean to do that. How is that not repaired? Oh duh, I'm hella dumb. Wait, I'm so lost. Oh my god, it's not fully repaired.
past few days, I've been nervous about you being...
You are in your right to be wary of AIs. My presence should not be made public as of now.
You sure know a lot.
Hi, I'm very wet.
Exiting X-Boost field.
Thank you for asking.
Entering X-Boost field.
Oh, it's a health gun. Thanks, cuties.
Do you know where you come from? Who made you?
I am unaware.
Aren't you curious?
Please, define curious.
Faye, the recovery fleet is nearing your position. We are only recovering the control core this time. I've already given them the heads up. However, on future exploration days, you'll have to confirm the recovery items yourself. Once the recovery fleet begins their work, the Mechanos will be drawn here. Deter them until the operation is complete. Setting up your defenses beforehand is necessary.
Copy that. This guy just threw a tantrum. And now he's acting like nothing happened.
Enter command mode from your wristband.
And then what?
In command mode, you can deploy support facilities and control them during combat. The Titan Spike can enhance the output of the core tower, boosting the turret damage. It may also be switched to offensive mode to electrocute nearby enemies.
This voice acting is just fucking weird.
Facility deployed.
This game is a lot, holy shit.
Please deploy the stake walls.
Stake walls? What are they for?
The Mechanos will mindlessly attack all defensive structures near the outpost. Stake walls not only draw enemy fire, they also damage enemies that come in contact with them.
Defend. 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 Moving. Defend.
Combat mode activated.
I like it.
should be more than capable of handling the upcoming attack.
Great. Outpost 11 to Recovery Fleet. Defenses are all set. You can begin your work now.
Facility enemy signatures detected. Prepare for battle. Facility deployed. Facility deployed. Facility deployed. Combat mode activated.
Outpost 11, this is Levi.
How am I doing, Levi?
Watch out! A large contingent of enemy forces is headed your way. Head to the evac point once recovery is complete and catch a bird out of here.
What about my outpost?
The enemy has you surrounded. The outpost can't be evacuated. We recovered the control core. We can build a new outpost 11.
We can't afford to wait another 6 months.
The EUA won't be able to cover your retreat.
I will break out with my outpost.
I do not believe that to be an optimal choice, Commander.
I'm sorry, but I
will aid you to the best of my abilities.
Thank you. Let's begin.
Enemy signatures detected. Prepare for battle.
I'll be alright.
Hostile signatures detected. The enemy outnumbers us 3 to 1.
Is this the end for us?
No, there might be something we could try. Brace for impact, Commander. Facility lost.
The artillery pieces on the ridge are helping us.
Those are artillery positions left from the pre-war era. I have brought them under our control. You may now issue them with commands.
X-boost field.
You never cease to amaze me. It's time for some payback.
Entering X-boost field.
Facility deployed.
we can get very lewd as you want. But, you can save like the super lewd shit for my, not safe for work streams that I do. I'll be doing one tomorrow night once I have my new toy.
This is Faye, calling any available transport.
This is Helene Dubois. I am landing near your position.
Perfect timing.
If you ever cut comms on me again, you can kiss your commander career goodbye.
Levi, I was only trying to...
Outpost 8.
So join the Discord server. Vulcan, will you put the Discord in the chat, please?
Your way out is clear. Take Outpost 11 home, Faye. Good work today. See you at the base.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna get something to eat and then I'll probably hop on VR chat and do a stream on there for you guys. I'm gonna keep the stream running and I'm just gonna watch YouTube with you guys while I eat. I'm just gonna grab something to eat really fast. And I will ping. I always will ping. I love seeing you too, cutie. I just let you guys play with me. On streamer, my Love and Toys is gonna be here tomorrow, so that'll be fun. You guys get to control my toy. Stream. I'm just waiting for my pizza to get done. Ah, thanks, Techno.
Stories from Dougie of accounts that he had with what sounded to me like the Illuminati, but he has a few other stories on his channel of weird and interesting things that have occurred in his life, and today we're about to check out one of those. This one is titled Don't Touch the Stairs in the Woods. Let's go. I know my hat is glitching, don't worry, there's nothing wrong, it's just a green screen effect.
Almost starts to feel like a trap, and Sam is looking at me like he's horrified. So he yanks me off of it because it happened the second I touched it. Okay, so me and Sam went to Michigan together to do like a hike. You pull up, it's like a lodge, and then you hike to the campsite. It's a very woodsy part of Michigan. The trail is like 10 feet wide, and then around you is pretty much all woods. There's guides that take you from the lodge to the campsite, and then there's like park rangers and stuff that are there that make sure everybody's safe, drop our stuff off at the lodge. There's like 35 of us. You're allowed to spread out because you guys are on the same trail, but everybody's within 2 miles of each other. There's always a park ranger way behind, there's always a park ranger way ahead. We're technically with a lot of people, but it's just me and Sam. The lining of trees on the side of the trail is like really, really, really dense. You couldn't see a deer if it was 10 feet in. I look off to the right and there's a gap in the trees, and there's like a staircase 100 yards into the forest. It sticks out completely. It's so
why are you leaving, Vulcan? Are you getting on VR chat?
It looks like
I
you
just
were building a
wait till
Sims
I'm
house
done
and
eating
you
and then
chose
I'll
the
get on with you.
staircase, but you just put the staircase there, and then you
What do you
deleted
mean
the
talk
rest
to
of
me
the
later?
house. But
What?
it just stops. It doesn't go anywhere. It's only like 10 feet high. That's weird. We look at each other. Park rangers aren't around. Let's go check this out. So we start walking
Why you
towards
leave,
it,
Stinky?
And the closer we're getting to it, the more eerie that it's feeling. This isn't like your local forest preserve. We are in the middle of the woods. This is like we are on a nature adventure. When you see something so clearly
Why does my eye
it
look
fits
crazy?
with you. It's weird. Why is that here? This thing's like almost glowing. It almost has like a... It was almost like I was getting like intrusive
Hiya,
thoughts.
Techno.
Everything in my head is saying like go up these stairs. But I just run up and I just hop on the first stair. And I have my hand on the railing and both my feet on the first stair. This is where it gets weird. The second I got onto it, it almost felt like it had like a little like light vibration to it. I felt it on my feet and on my hand, tingled a little bit. I'm like laughing, like giggling, oh, this is like really weird. And then I'm inspecting the staircase. It has carpet on the stairs. The railing's white, the carpet's blue, like a royal blue. And there's no debris on it. There's not a leaf, there's not a sprinkle of dirt, bro. There's not a bug crawling on it. There's not a blade of grass on it. I'm like giggling and kind of just like talking out loud, super weird, like trying to be like giggly about it. But the longer that I'm on it, it starts feeling wrong. It almost starts to feel like a trap. Part of my head is saying keep going to the top. And then before I climb to the top of the stairs, I look back at Sam, and Sam is looking at me like he's horrified. Like he's looking at me like I have like a gash on my face, clearly distressed. And I'm like, huh, and then I look back to the top and I'm like, should I still go to the top, right? Intrusive thought. And he grabs me by the hood and he like yanks me off the stairs really, really hard. And I'm on my back on the floor. He immediately goes up to me, he's like, are you okay? Yeah, dude, why'd you pull me so hard? He's like, no, are you okay? What are you talking about? And this is
Oh,
the part
thanks, Missy. Oh, hi, Missy.
ashamed about. I thought I was
Oh my
on
God,
there
I miss
giggling,
you. Where
and
have you
he
been?
said I was having like a standing
I know it.
seizure, and I don't remember that.
Whoa, I'm over here trying to make of this story. I'm like, what am I listening
cute,
to
huh?
right now? What the heck kind of stairs did he touch? That's wild. It almost sounds like an encounter that I had with, what's that stuff? Salvia? Y'all remember that stuff? Where you think one thing is happening, but the people around you tell you something else is happening. It's woo.
Perspective is laughing, the staircase is vibrating, and I'm looking at this weird immaculate
We got Big
staircase
Booba.
in the woods. And he says my
You're
eyes
doing
are
good.
rolling in the back of my head and I'm having a seizure. So he yanks me off of it because it happened the second I touched it. I feel completely fine. No type of side effect to it whatsoever. He helps me to my feet. He's like, are you okay to walk? Like, do I need to go get help? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Let's get out of here, yeah.
We hustle back to the trail. We get on it. Nobody's around. It's all good. We talk about it for a bit, but I have to convince him that I'm fine. And I do. Like, he's like, okay, like, that was super, super weird. Let's just keep it going. We have to get this campsite anyway. We just finish up the hike. We get to the campsite. Everybody's there. It's all good. Nobody saw anything. Nobody noticed anything. There's food being made. It's been a long hike.
Oh my gosh, I miss talking about your milkers. Praise Booba. All praise the Booba.
With concern, and I could tell he's looking at me, and I'm like, did Sam tell this guy? And then I'm embarrassed, bro. And then I asked Sam, like, dude, did you tell him? No, dude, I didn't tell anybody. Like, it's all good. And I was like, okay, why is this guy looking at me funny? Sam goes to the tent, whatever, because I go to the bathroom before I go to the tent, and he catches me before I go to our tent. And this park ranger just like isolates me, kind of looks pissed. He just like looks at me in the face, like right in my eyes, and just goes, please do not tell me you touched the stairs. Please do not tell me you touched the stairs. I promise I didn't break anything. I didn't mess with them, because I'm thinking it's some sort of like national landmark. It's not about the stairs. I don't care that you damaged them. Did anything happen to you? Then I think he's concerned about my health. I try to downplay it. I threw like a little bit of a fit.
I definitely missed it. I miss you.
Like, do I have this kid who's a liability on my campsite?
You are one of my mods.
That I'm okay. He's like, if something didn't happen to you, something's gonna happen to somebody else. That's weird. That's not where I thought he was taking this. And he's like starts guilting me. There's women and children here. So if something didn't happen,
you're one of my day ones.
To them.
You're like one of the first people that ever started watching me.
Horrible's gonna happen because I touched this
literally
landmark staircase. Then I start pressing him because I'm like, why are you acting like these stairs are like this ominous thing?
I'm pretty sure you are the first person to ever chat it in my stream.
Super dangerous staircase. He starts to explain a little bit, like I should be in the know about these ominous stairs. He starts saying stuff like they pop up randomly and they disappear randomly. Immediately, I'm like, this guy's absolutely tripping. This guy is super weird. He is making things up and he's trying to like guilt me about touching this random staircase, making it seem like something horrible's gonna happen. So I'm like, this guy's super weird. I'm getting away from this deranged park ranger. So I go to sleep. I like leave this weirdo by himself because I'm going to bed. I'm trying to enjoy this trip. The next day, completely fine. We have such a good time at this campsite. There's a great lake over there. We're spending time in the water. Nothing weird is happening. Everything's completely okay. And in my head, that guy's tripping. He's super weird. We're fine. By the end of the day, I have completely forgotten about what happened. Sam's over it, and we go to sleep because obviously when you're camping, spending so much time outside, you're exhausted. So we hit the hay early. At right about like 4 a.m., the sun's about an hour from coming up, and we kind of hear a ruckus outside of the tent, and there's this kid, this young boy crying by himself outside. So we're like, oh. So we all get out of the tent, and there's already people around him. Apparently, the word going around is that his mom is gone, and his tent's gone, and all their belongings are gone. And they start questioning this kid, and they're like, where is your mom? And this little kid just points towards the tree line. So this kid's mom packed up all their stuff, apparently, and went on her own hike in the middle of the night. So I'm like, this is mom of the year. We're kind of forming a search party. Everybody's kind of coming together like, all right, we're gonna go look for this lady. As we're walking towards the big group that's gonna go on the search, park ranger walks by me and Sam, and he says some slick
I'll be right back.
to me,
I'm gonna
saying,
check on my pizza.
Find her, because if we don't, it's on you. At this point, I'm pissed because this guy is, first off, he's super weird telling me about these mythical stairs. Second off, now he's trying to blame me for this mom packing up her stuff and leaving in the middle of the night. And then
wait, the park ranger is, wait, hold on, is this the same guy that was giving him the weird looks when he got back? And then how would he know if he touched the stairs? Do you have some sort of energy or orb or aura to you after you touch these stairs? And only someone else who touched the stairs would know? Like, why would they assume that he touched the stairs in the first place?
Sam goes, why would he say something like that to you? Because, of course, why would somebody blame somebody getting up and leaving in the middle of the night on me?
Right.
And I fill him in about the mythology of these staircases that this weird park ranger told me. And Sam's face is expressing to me that he believes the ranger and not me. Because I'm being sarcastic about it. And Sam seems pretty serious. And he goes, I think we should probably check by the stairs. Luckily, the search party is kind of directed towards the area of the stairs because we don't think this lady's going to go so far off trail. So they're like, all right, maybe she went back to the lodge. She was done with the campsite. There's no sign of her. We don't see anything. We're just walking down the trail that we came in. But once we get to the clearing, and of course, this lady is sitting Indian style, exactly where the stairs were. And at this point, I'm a little freaked out, but I'm also like, of course she's sitting right there. Like, is she in on it too? Like, what's going on here? Why is this lady sitting Indian style exactly where the stairs were and the stairs aren't there? And then my mind starts going like, why am I in this situation where this weird deranged park ranger is in cahoots with this weird deranged mom, and she's sitting at this spot where these weird immaculate stairs were, and now the stairs aren't there. So me and Sam jog up to her. There's already like 3 people up there, and as we're approaching her, I see that she is, mind you, she's only been gone for like an hour and a half tops, and her clothes are like tattered. She looks like she got dragged through the forest. She looks like Bear Grylls after a week in Siberia by himself eating earthworms. And she looks deprived. She looks like she hasn't had water or food. Her eyes are giving psychosis. We get up and there's already people asking her questions. Like one lady's like, what happened? Like, are you okay? She's just like kind of like rocking. She's going like, what took you guys so long? The guy that's there goes, don't worry, it's only been like an hour, you're safe now. And she just like mumbles out, it's been days. And right then I know, okay, she's crazy. They're still questioning her and shit, but she's not even answering their questions at this point. She's just kind of talking. I only caught a few sentences, and she like mumbled out, it told me you'd come. It told me I'd be safe by the stairs. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It told me you'd come.
So hungry.
I'd be safe by the stairs. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The stairs aren't even here. How does she even know that there were stairs here? At this point, I fully believe the park ranger. Like 100%, he was right. I feel so guilty. I'm the reason that this woman is in this deranged fit, sitting crisscross applesauce in this clearing. The reality of the situation is just hitting me all at once. And we get this lady up and we're like, all right, we have to take her back to the campsite because we can't take her to the lodge. We can't take her to the hospital. We have to go back to the campsite because that's where everybody is. That's where her kid is. So we get this lady up and we start walking her back. It's only like 4 of us. It's me, Sam, and the 3 people that found her. As we're walking back, me and Sam are a little bit ahead of them because they found her. They've been consoling her, and I don't want to mess with the morale that they've built with her. And as we're walking back, she's just rambling to herself in like a really light voice. It said this, it said that, and they're just trying to console her, like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Your son's at the campsite. She goes, just like really light voice, son. Everybody's being very gentle with her. She's been through a lot, so nobody's like, oh, she doesn't know who her son is. This lady doesn't even know her own name. Her eyes are absolutely deranged. And he goes, yes, yeah, your son, they just sent the kids on an excursion so nobody would freak out that you're gone. Everything's okay. And she just goes, what's his name? And he goes, oh, your son's
Crazy.
Nick. He's just giving her the answers that she needs to get back to reality. So
Aw,
he's doing
thanks,
a great
baby.
job consoling her. And as we're walking back, the guilt in me is rising, and all I could think about is how much I want to apologize to this park ranger for, I was kind of disrespectful. I was brushing him off. Everything that he said is happening. Once we get back to the campsite, it's a long walk. I have a lot of time to think about what I'm going to say to him. And right when I see him, he sees the woman. I swear to God, this man exhales for the first time since I met him. Like, he is so relieved to see that she's alive. And I walk right up to him, man to man, and I just start apologizing. I'm like, dude, I fully believe you. I'm so sorry I did this. Please tell me what I could do to help. He looks at me serious, but he knows I'm being sincere, and he gives me like a kind of a half apology, just recognizing that I'm trying to mend our relationship. He just kind of apologizes for being so hard on me. As he's walking away, kind of sighs out, man, I just needed you to know how serious this situation was. Like, my bad for being so hard on
Yeah,
you.
they
I
are
just hate
pretty
finding
big.
Dead kids, man. That hit my heart like a bomb because he knew something horrible was gonna happen. He didn't know if it was gonna be an adult or a kid. He said it as if it's happened before and that he's had to find kids like that. And the idea of finding a kid in the same state that she's in was absolutely heartbreaking. So at this point, we're in full get this lady better before her kid comes back from the excursion. We clean her up, we get her food, we get her water, we get her new clothes. We just try to doll her up a little bit so the kid doesn't come back and see his mom in this horrible state. So we're just sitting around the campsite. She's all cleaned up. She looks pretty good. She's just sitting there with her hands folded in her waist and her like knees touching each other, just like she's sitting very delicately. She's just kind of looking around. She's still very spacey. She's just looking around. She's not really talking to anybody. She's still mumbling to herself a little bit, but she seems like she's a little bit more put together, a little bit more calm. She's pretty happy that she's back at the campsite. As the kids are coming back, the entire group is kind of expecting this reunion moment. Everybody's expecting like a warm embrace, like we're all happy, everything's okay. And when the kids come up, the son walks up to the end of the campsite and everybody's looking at her and everybody kind of goes silent for this embrace. She looks up and she kind of sees that everybody's looking at her. It almost looks like she took it as a cue, and she scans the kids and she just kind of lets out Nick, just really gently. And then we look at the kid, and the kid is like scowling at his mom. Like he's looking at a stranger that he doesn't like. He gestures like, what? Then she stops scanning the kids and she locks in on him. She almost stands up like she's ex machina, just very robotically and gently. No wasted movements. And she just lifts her hands slightly, like as if she's inviting him to come give her a hug. And instead of coming to give her a hug, the kid starts backing up. He's like half crying and he says, that's not my mom anymore. I want my dad. And he runs off. Whoa. And then I'm looking around the group. It feels so awkward and so tense. The moment didn't unfold how we were expecting. And everybody has this kind of like sadness on their face. And then I scan and I see
this is crazy.
Face. And he's looking at the woman like his world is being He's more anxious than I've seen him this entire time. He's like half crying and he says, "That's not my mom anymore." I see the park ranger's face, and he's looking at the woman like his world is being torn apart. The women at the campsite immediately go up to the mom to start to console her, tell her that kids react to trauma in different ways and he'll get over and it's gonna be okay. Her face is expressionless, as if she's not even hearing these women and just looking right past them, and her eyes are just following the kid. Everybody else in the campsite starts dispersing because this is the most awkward, tension-filled moment I've ever been in, except for the park ranger. I see him talking to the camp guide. I sneak behind to eavesdrop a little bit to see what he's saying, and he's telling the camp guide to call the father, tell him to come pick them both up tomorrow. I can kind of tell that the camp guide is not in the know, because the way he's saying it, he's saying she doesn't seem fit to drive. He's talking as if he's not aware of the gravity of the situation. The camp guide just says yes, walks off, and I'm still standing behind him, and he just barks out, "Doug, come here." And it was one of those moments that, like, when you're sitting in the back of class messing around and your teacher's writing on the whiteboard and they just call out your name without even looking at you, chills down my spine. I just immediately walk up. "What do you want me to do?" I'm in full soldier mode at this point because this is my fault. I want to help fix it. He starts speaking very firmly. His eyes are completely locked on this mom. He's not even looking at me. And he just goes, "I'll keep my eyes on her. You take care of the kid. The father can't get here until tomorrow. By no means does she interact with that kid until he gets here. Do you understand me?" I go, "Got it." I beeline towards the kid. Mind you, I've been working with kids for years at this point. I know how to build a comfortable relationship with a kid. I'm not worried about it. When I get to Nick, he's playing bags by himself off to the side, and I just walk up, I just say, "Best 2 out of 3. I start cracking jokes. It's easy to make kids laugh. It's easy to make kids forget what's going on. We're having a pretty good time until one of the other kids walks up and just puts both of his hands over his face like this and goes, "Are you gonna cry again?" and starts laughing and runs off. I look at Nick and I go, "Bro, what was that about?" And Nick goes, "I told him who my mom left with last night." "Who did your mom leave with last night?" "I saw her holding hands with a man as she walked into the forest last night." "What did he look like?" And Nick just holds his thumb up and he goes, "His face looked like this," and he rubs the front of his thumb. "What did he look like?" And Nick just holds his thumb up and he goes, "His face looked like this," and he rubs the front of his thumb. I have no idea what that means, so I immediately start asking follow-up questions. What color was his skin? What was he wearing? And Nick just goes, "He was pale." "Did he have any distinct facial features? Bushy eyebrows, bright eyes, a big nose?" He didn't have any of those. His face was smooth. So apparently there's some weirdo in a mask drawing women into the woods in the middle of the night. Got it. I'm internally freaking out, but I don't want him to see that. So I start reassuring him, letting him know that he's safe. We're not going to let that man hurt him. He's not coming back again. I want to keep distracting him and giving him a fun day, but I need to go report this back to Sam. So I make an excuse to go back to the tent. I give Sam the nod. We got to talk. The second the tent zips closed, and I'm about to start spewing all of this new information that I learned, Sam cuts me off. I go, "I have so much to tell you." He goes, "Me first." He kind of guiltily goes, "I've been spying on the mom." I go, "Why?" He goes, "This is gonna sound really weird, but I was in a group with her. You know when everybody in a group starts laughing and then one person is left laughing at the end after everybody else stops? Well, that happened. She was the last one laughing, and I looked at her, and for a split second, she was still laughing, but her mouth was closed and she wasn't moving. Nobody else saw it but me." He goes, "It irked me so bad, I haven't been able to leave this woman alone for the rest of the day. I've been spying on her this entire time." I'm not fully sold on this idea, so I go, "Okay, what else has she been doing?" Sam goes, "Everything that she's doing is performative. When nobody's around her, she sits motionless. And I'm not talking about relaxing. I'm talking about this woman is not moving." "What do you mean if nobody's around her? You've been following her around." And then Sam kind of holds up a pair of binoculars, a little bit proud to show off the commitment to his spy work. And he goes, "I've been watching her with these." He goes, "I watched her for 30 minutes straight, bro. She did not move. She did not blink. She was not breathing. She looked like an empty vessel. And then when somebody walks near her, she starts blinking. She wrenches out a weird smile. She starts looking around as if she's taking in nature. And she starts fake breathing. Imagine a mime pretending that he's breathing. And then the second they walk away, she sits motionless again. It is the most bizarre thing I've seen in my life. And Sam kind of starts like looking around, kind of questioning to himself if he's gonna say the next thing to me. And I'm like, "Bro, just spit it out." "What?" "You know how she was saying it's telling her to do this, it's telling her to do that? I don't think it is telling her to do anything. I think she is it." I don't even get to fill in Sam about the smooth-faced man before he goes, "We gotta tell the ranger right now." I just oblige and follow him out of the tent, and we pull up on the ranger, and Sam just starts pouring his heart out about all of the evidence that he's found throughout the day. And the ranger's just listening patiently, nodding. And then right when Sam finishes, the ranger just goes, "Don't worry, boys. We're on the same page. There's no chance I'm letting that thing leave my park." The ranger just goes, "Don't worry, boys. We're on the same page. There's no chance I'm letting that thing leave my park." He said that thing. Immediately my head goes, is she possessed? Is it in her? Or is the whole her not her? Ranger...
Great questions. Is she possessed? Is it in her? Or is the whole thing not her? Those are all the questions that I had. Because he said thing. I'm not letting that thing leave this park or my park. that would insinuate that's either not her or something's inside of her.
This story is
And
wild.
for the ranger to say that, the park ranger, he knows some stuff. Open your mouth, speak.
Goes on and says, you guys have no idea how lucky we are that that kid doesn't trust her, but it is vital that we keep them separate and do not give her an opportunity to manipulate him. You guys need to understand that this thing has one motive, and that is to get out of the park. And the only way it can get out of the park is if it manipulates a loved one to escort it out of the park. We just need to keep doing what we're doing and keep them separate until the dad gets here tomorrow morning. I already told the camp guide to send all the kids paddleboarding all day, so it has no chance to talk to him during the day. You guys need to monitor her during the day and then get that kid to his tent immediately when he comes back. And then we're home free once we get that kid to his father. So before I even get to really digest that new information, me and Sam hustle back to the common area just to keep an eye on her, to make sure she's not running off or something. When we get back there, we see that she's not dormant anymore. She's a little bit more active today, and she's just walking around the campsite asking different groups of campers if they've seen her son. All the campers are still being nice and gentle with her because they kind of know what happened, and they're just telling her all the kids went paddleboarding, it's fine. But by like the third time she asks each group, you could kind of see that the campers are getting a little annoyed and frustrated with her. And she goes back up to this one group to ask them for like the fourth or fifth time. And one burly country dude just kind of blurts out, kind of joking, that dad can't get here soon enough, am I right? And then his wife or girlfriend hits him on the shoulder for being rude. Honey, be patient, the dad's gonna be here in the morning. And then it starts repeating what she said, as if it's taking in that new information and formulating a new question to ask them. And it repeats it 3 times. My husband's gonna be here in the morning. My husband's gonna be here in the morning. My husband's gonna be here in the morning. And then she looks back at the group and says, do you know what time my husband's gonna be here in the morning? And the burly country guy goes, no ma'am.
Hacking.
And she walks away, but a little bit more frantic this time. The only way I know to explain is that she turned from more active to almost erratic, as if it knows that now it's crunch time. She only has one day to convince this kid to take her home. And she's walking from group to group, just repeating herself. Do you know what time my husband's gonna be here? Do you know what time my husband's gonna be here? It literally walks around asking the same question, getting the same answers, until the sun's starting to come down and the kids start coming home from paddleboarding. We're coming up on dinner time when everybody meets in the common area.
I'm great. How are you, cutie?
Obviously keep a mom separate from her kid without the other campers getting really suspicious. So me and Sam go to meet with Nick before he even re-enters the campsite because we just want to avoid this situation entirely. If we just get through this part, we get him in his tent, then we're home free, we got the kids safe, and we're all good. So we're just
That's
assuming
good.
that it's gonna
What are you
follow
up
the
to
herd
tonight?
To go get food, and we could just go get Nick to his tent and we're good. So I just have Sam go make a couple of plates of food for us while I escort Nick to his tent. But within the couple minutes that Sam is getting our food ready and I'm getting Nick to the tent, it must have slipped away, because when we get to Nick's tent and he unzips it, immediately pops out and grabs him by the arms and says, you're not gonna leave without mommy when daddy gets here. Because when we get to Nick's tent and he unzips it, immediately pops out and grabs him by the arms and says, if I could say I did something heroic, but I just let out a and I double hand gripped Nick's string backpack because I didn't want to risk touching this thing, and I swung him behind me really hard because I wasn't trying to get into a tug of war with. When I tell you in this moment I was mortified because I was the only thing in between her and Nick, I felt the fight or flight creeping in, and I had to remind myself that this isn't a woman, and if it takes a step forward, I'm not flying. I'm just standing there, and the only words that I could get out are, you good? And then it just says kind of softly and menacingly, we need alone time. Don't make me scream. I bark at Nick to go get the ranger because the only thing I want in this moment is an authority figure here that it...
Y'all, it'd be so hard. Like Dougie, he goes. There's like almost no pauses or breaks in his speech, in his talk. So it's like hard to find that moment where you want to pause it and say something, because he's just nonstop, just go, tell the story as it is. But man, this is a good story. This is a real good story. I'm enjoying it.
You good? And then it just says kind of softly and menacingly, we need alone time. Don't make me scream. I bark at Nick to go get the ranger because the only thing I want in this moment is an authority figure here that isn't me, because I have no idea what this thing is capable of, and the ranger does. So Nick books it, and I'm just frozen there, staring at this thing, waiting for it to scream and make me look like an absolute creep in front of the entire camp. But it just stands there for a few moments with its eyes darting around like it's searching for something in its head, almost as if it's trying to remember something. And just like that, its eyes lock onto me, and I damn near brace for impact. Because I think she's gonna let out this horrific scream, and I am absolutely not looking forward to the scene that this thing is about to make. When this thing finally explodes into a scream, I get a little confused and almost a little bit relieved, because in that moment, I realized that this thing only mimics sounds. This thing has no gauge of human inflection or social cues, because the scream that it did didn't match the situation. I was expecting it to scream in horror as if it was accusing me of attacking her or something, but instead it screamed as if it was that one annoying little girl that just screams about anything while she's playing. I peek for a quick second just to kind of see the camper's reaction, and I get even a little bit more relieved because I see a few of them rolling their eyes, because at this point they seem so fed up with this lady's behavior. The slight relief that I had disappears immediately when I look back at it, because it abruptly stopped screaming because it could tell it didn't work, and its chin tucks a little bit and it starts looking out the top of its eyes.
Oh,
as
I
if
bet
it's
it feels hella good.
And the adrenaline in my chest starts pumping because I don't know if this thing is going to run away or it's going to attack me. It almost looked a little bit happy about how scared I was, gave a little bit of a smirk, and replied, "You good?" in my voice with its mouth closed. Exactly how I just said it to them. It did it as if it was threatening me that if I get in the way of her leaving with Nick, it can mimic me and leave with Sam. It did it as if it was threatening me that if I get in the way of her leaving with Nick, it can mimic me and leave with Sam. That moment felt like it lasted forever, but then finally I felt somebody grab my shoulder and I look back and it's the Ranger, luckily. And he has this confidence on his face that he's about to just handle this situation, which makes me feel so much safer. And he loudly
Oh yeah,
says,
I bet.
"Don't let this thing
Take that
intimidate you.
shit.
It can only take your form if it could put
Baby's
you in a trance.
loose.
And the only way it could put you in a trance is if you're inebriated. You didn't drink anything tonight, right?" I just nod my head no. He goes, "Then you're good." Then he looks at her and just says, "Go to sleep. Your husband's
Let
gonna
them
be here in the
babies
morning."
loose.
Kind of
Take that
brushing
bra
her arm.
off.
Her eyes light up like she likes what he just said, and she almost scurries back into the tent. And as we're walking away, I hear her repeating herself, almost joyfully, "My husband's gonna be here in the morning. My husband's gonna be here in the morning." We start walking away, and I see Sam walking up with the plates of food, with a look on his face like, "Hey dude, what happened?" The Ranger tells me and Sam to come eat dinner with him, and that we deserve a little bit of an explanation. As we're walking to where he usually eats dinner, a little bit away from the other campers, I see Nick in between two camp guides, and he's safe, so I'm a little bit more relaxed at this point, and the questions start flowing in my head that I'm about to ask this guy, because I have 1,000 of them. When we sit down, the first question that comes to my head is, "So you know what that thing is then?" And he says, "Kinda." All the
Oh
other
my
Rangers
goodness.
call them mimics. I've heard plenty of stories about them, but I've only had one other personal
That sounds like a good
My
time to
working
me. I
theory is
want to
that
come.
Interacting with the stairs almost calls to them like it's this personal hotspot. Because incidents like this are few and far between, but whenever the stairs are involved, it feels like it attracts everything. We're very fortunate that we had a lucky draw with the Mimic, because it could have been something so much worse. My brain immediately goes, if we're lucky with this thing, what else is in this park? But the Ranger just keeps going on with his story before I get to spew all of my questions. But what we do know is that these things target people that are under the influence. The last time I had to deal with one, it tricked this hippie guy that came here by himself.
I know you wouldn't
He basically
mind.
just hoped the whole time, so he was an easy target.
Hey,
And I
King,
was the one that saw him walk into the forest with it. I thought about chasing them and intervening, but once they hit the tree line, it's almost like they dissolved into the woods. In my head, I'm like, that's exactly what Nick
Join
told
the
me,
Discord
so this
server.
Ranger is definitely onto something. The Ranger goes on and says, when the hippie wandered back into camp, he knew it definitely wasn't him.
Here, I'll
because
put it
he
in the
was talking
chat.
super formal, and this guy was the opposite of formal. Everything that he did was super laid back, chill, hippie vibe. And when he came back speaking very eloquently, asking very specific questions in a monotone way, I knew something was off. He started walking around the camp asking everybody who he came here with, and he was trying to figure out if he had any loved ones or family
Oh,
nearby.
perfect.
But before he got taken by this thing, he was very open with me and everybody
Thank you,
else that
Missy.
he was a traveling nomad, and he had nobody really significant in his life in general. And when all of the other campers started their hike back to the lodge, he wouldn't leave the campsite. And when I told him that I couldn't leave the campsite without, and that he was my responsibility to take home, he said he can't leave the campsite without somebody that loves him. It got really frantic and was pleading with me to call somebody for him, but I told him that he didn't even put anybody on his emergency contact form, and there was nobody to call. I remember seeing the defeat on this thing's face, and then the last thing it said to me was, "I ran out of time." And then he backpedaled towards the tree line, and it was almost as if his face dissolved and he shriveled up and became a part of the forest. And then 2 days later, we randomly found the hippie at the bottom of a pit about a mile off the campsite, and the autopsy said that he died of starvation about 2 days earlier. So it's my assumption that these things can't survive without a living host. They trick you, then they trap you, then they mimic you, try to convince somebody to take them home. It seems like they can't leave the park unless somebody that loves them escorts them out. The way she's been acting almost confirms that with me, because it seems like she's been abiding by the same rules. But if we let this thing out and it gets to a city or a town, we have no idea how much damage this thing could do. I finally cut him off and I ask him, how are we going to get the husband?
Oh yeah, we can
He
definitely do
confidently
that.
says, let me handle that. We just need to focus on getting Nick to the lodge and trapping that thing here, so we could focus on finding the real her while she's still alive.
Bro, that's so interesting. All right, so now he said they got to focus on finding the real her.
Oh,
while
if you
she's
go to
still
the
alive.
IRL pics, the not
But
safe for work IRL pics in the Discord server, you can see what mine look like.
Itself at all. It's just someone that is just a thing that is mimicking an individual. And that thing can't leave the forest unless a loved one from the actual person takes them out of the forest. That's why she was so excited and giddy about my husband is coming. My husband is coming. But what happens if one of those things leaves the forest, and has one ever left the forest? How are they going to get the husband to believe or not even believe? How are they going to convince the husband to not take his wife home? They would have to tell him, look, that's not your wife. You would have to tell him the truth, right? And even then, you sound crazy.
Need to focus on getting Nick to the lodge and trapping that thing here, so we could focus on finding the real her while she's still alive. Then Sam chimes in and says we're gonna extract Nick at 0600, make the handoff with the father within the hour, and then we orchestrate a grid-style search party, starting east of the campsite where Nick saw her leave. So that gives us 6 hours of sleep and approximately 10 hours of search time before the sun goes down. Sam kind of flipped the switch and starts taking control of the situation, because he's a really fun-loving guy, but at his core, he's a tactical-minded, well-trained Army Ranger. The man was an Army Ranger for about 10 years. All it took for him was the confirmation of his suspicions, and the Army Ranger immediately came out. The park ranger piles on that we're coming up on day 3. If we don't find her tomorrow,
I think you'll have fun in there.
He dismisses us and tells us to get some rest. So me and Sam just clear our plates really quick to get some calories.
I'm gonna get notifications when I go live for my Not Safe for Work stream tomorrow night.
I'm just laying there with my eyes open. I'm having a really tough time sleeping. I just keep thinking about her repeating my voice.
You are going to get notifications.
My mind was just going
in the announcements channel.
And loops, hearing my own voice being said to me. I can't express to you how eerie it is to hear your own voice when it's not coming from a recording. And it's like Sam knew exactly what I was thinking, and he just blurted out porcupine. And I was like, what, bro? And he says, that's our safe word, porcupine. If at any point we get split up or something crazy happens, you just ask me what that safe word is so you know it's me. He goes, got it? I say, got it. Having a plan set to be able to recognize each other gives me just enough relief to fall asleep. But it sure did not stop me from having nightmares all night. I abruptly woke up the next morning, right as the sun was coming up, and I saw Sam was already getting ready. So I jumped up to catch up, because every moment that we're still here, that woman is still out there in the woods suffering. I get ready like I'm late for the first day of school. The ranger's already at the edge of the campsite with a really groggy Nick, having him climb into one of those off-roading golf carts. Thank God he had a vehicle, because I was not looking forward to a 15-mile hike there and back, and then a search party. Me and Sam jog up, and we just hop into the back seat quietly, because we are just trying to execute this mission and get this over with. When the ranger turns the engine on, we just hear a zip, and she comes storming out of her tent towards the golf cart. We start driving away, and it's a little bit of a downhill. So once you're about 30 feet away, you can't see over the ridge to the campsite anymore. But you could see her storm up to the edge of the trail and just stand there. This woman looked venomously angry that we lied to her. She stands dead center of the trail for about 5 seconds, and then she just turns and sprints into the tree line. Sam sees it too and goes, where do you think she went? The ranger cuts us off and says, keep your head on a swivel, because she's getting desperate. We're driving for about 10 minutes, and the trail continues to get more and more narrow as we go. It's about a 5-mile stretch where the trees are just about 3 feet away from each side of the golf cart. And for the next 5 miles, we found out where she went. She was periodically popping out of the tree line, screaming things at Nick. Mommy loves you. Take me home. Where's your father? And she was crying, please don't leave me. She never made an attempt on the vehicle. It just seemed like she was tracking us and following us and continuing to try to manipulate Nick. But let me tell you, it never got less creepy that she was always ahead of us. We finally get to the lodge and we see the father out front standing outside of his truck, looking pretty confused and frustrated. We tactically pull up next to the truck so we could get Nick into his vehicle as soon as possible. But the second we stop, Nick jumps out of the vehicle and runs to his dad, crying, saying, I want to go home. His dad gives him a quick pat on the back and says, don't worry, buddy, I'm taking you home. He says, wait in the car, I have to talk to these guys really quick. We walk up and he very frustratedly asks, are you guys going to tell me why I had to rush here first thing in the morning? I have no idea what we're going to tell this guy and how we're going to rush him to leave. But the ranger quickly replies that every child on his campsite needs to be accompanied by a responsible adult. As the father's asking where the mother is, she pops out of the woods, hustling up to us, announcing to the crowd, finally my husband's here. She's walking up to him, starting to approach him, kind of looking maybe for a hug or an embrace, and he puts his hand up and starts backing up towards his truck. He says, I cannot believe you right now. And she just replies in a kind of sad voice, I just want my husband to take me home. He talks over and says, Kristen, don't play that shit. We've been divorced for over a year. He starts scanning her. He's looking her up and down. He has disgust on his face. And then I take a look at her. She's looking really drawn out, sleep deprived, and exhausted. In that moment, I can't help but to think, is she a mirror of the real Kristen? But the father cuts off my train of thought and says, you promised me you were done drinking, and I gave you 1 week alone with him and you can't keep yourself together. She gets like a little whimper out. Can you please just drive me home? And he says, absolutely not. Pull yourself yourself together and take yourself home. He storms into his truck and drives off, and I can't believe that he did our job for us.
Yes.
For just a brief second, it felt like we won.
Amen,
she
brother.
takes off, sprinting back into the trees. It takes one look at each other, and we all have an understanding that she's trying to beat us back to camp so she could switch into somebody else before we get there. That moment of relief immediately turned into the most bumpy, chaotic, off-roading experience of my life. Because we have no idea how long it's going to take her to get back, but we know even at our top speed, it's going to take us 40 minutes. The ride back was far too loud for us to talk or have any type of conversation, so I'm just in my head thinking, what are we going to do with her when we go search for the real her? Because what's the point in finding Kristen if we come back and have found a new host, and we have to go through the same process all over again? When we pull up to the campsite, I'm damn near expecting this thing to be dragging somebody else into the woods with how desperate it looked when it was running away. But to my surprise, the campsite is completely vacant. Sam just blurts out, "Where is everyone?" The ranger fills us in that he had the camp guys take everybody onto the pontoons for a fishing excursion. So nobody was at the campsite for her to prey on while we were gone. But they might get back before we find the real Kristen. So we have to make this thing come on the search with us. I butt in right away and
There's
I go,
the,
"How do you expect
Missy.
us to do that?" And the ranger looks me in the face and says, "By any means necessary." We hop off the golf cart and we start walking
They are
with
C.
a purpose towards the campsite, assuming that she's hiding somewhere. But
And
she's
I'm
just
doing
sitting in the middle of
fantastic.
the campsite on one of the logs by the bonfire, rocking back and forth. I see something on the log next to her, but as we get closer, I see that there's 3 crows sitting on the log to her right, and they're just standing there, perfectly perched on this thing, with exact spacing between them as if they're in formation. As we're walking up, I'm mentally preparing to have to fight this thing and drag it into the forest with us. I could tell by the way everybody's walking that nobody has any idea how this interaction is going to go, if she's going to get violent. But I know that I'm prepared to do whatever
thanks,
I have to
cutie.
do to save the real Kristen. I know they are too. Park ranger sternly says to her, "You're coming with us right now." And she just keeps rocking and mumbles back, "Do you know what the crows
I
mean?"
like the
He
sides
cuts
of
her
them.
off and
They're
says,
not,
"You're coming
oh
in the
god,
forest
demon
with us
voice.
right now to find that woman." She looks up at us, almost excited, with a really optimistic look on her face. She stands up really delicately and starts walking towards the tree line and says, "I'd love to go in the forest with you." Putting a pause in the action really quick, if you haven't grabbed a hoodie or a t-shirt yet, I would do so ASAP, because we only do small batches, and once they're gone, they're gone. Me so on side of her. Doug will delicately and starts walking, because we only do with you. Putting a pause in the action really quick, if you haven't grabbed a hoodie or so she can't go anywhere. Me and the ranger just both nod in confirmation. The mimic seems so okay with this idea and just takes her place in the middle of the formation. It makes me so uncomfortable how willing she is to just do this, but we don't have a choice at this point and we need to just go looking. Once we're in formation, we start our descent into the tree line. I'm trying to do my job and just keep scanning the right for clues, but I can't help but to keep checking on her to make sure she's not getting any crazy ideas. We're walking for about 3 minutes, and when I peek back at her, there's something different about her. I want to take a better look at her, so I speed up for a second, and her face looks full and vibrant. The bags under her eyes are gone, her posture is perfect, and she's almost giving off an aura. And the aura was eerily similar to the glow that the stairs had. The forest is super dense, and there's not a lot of sunlight that gets through the trees. And Sam and the ranger look completely shaded, but she looks like the sunlight's hitting her. She doesn't look like she's in the shadow of the forest, and that makes me internally panic, because I already didn't like how happy she was to come in here. I really don't like that once we're in here, she's thriving. So I look away from her to just start really looking for clues. And as we keep hiking, everything in the forest starts looking the same. I start to feel a little disoriented and dizzy, but I just focus on the trees. Before I know it, I feel like so much time has passed, and I just feel out of touch with the situation. It felt like I was in an infinite loop of paranoia, and
like, real quick, y'all, I feel sorry for anybody that doesn't have an extremely vivid imagination like I do. I see everything that he is saying as if I'm there witnessing it all for myself. So vividly, so clear.
All right, boy.
Man.
Cutie
realize I
patootie.
haven't checked on her or anybody else in the group
Bread boy.
for what feels like hours. So when I finally pull myself away from the haze, I pan back to the group, and the park ranger is standing where she was, and she's now at the head of the group. Me, Sam, and the ranger are just standing single file behind her. I have no idea when that switch happened, and I could tell that Sam and the ranger haven't realized the switch happened yet. I'm not even looking for clues at this point. I'm just disoriented and confused. Barely remember why we're even out here, until the park ranger shakes his head really hard, like he's shaking the trance off, and blurts out, "Stop." He slaps me and Sam on the chest to stop us from walking. This is the first time I've seen real panic in the ranger's eyes, and he starts questioning me and Sam if we have any idea how long we've been out here or what direction we went. We all frantically check our watches and phones, but none of them are working. She had stopped walking about 10 feet ahead of us and just turned around and was calmly looking at us. The ranger storms up to her yelling, "Where'd you take us?" looking super aggressive and borderline violent, and she just gently replies, "I took you where you were meant to go, silly." She just lightly lifts her hands and points to her right. We all turn our gaze and we see this massive hollowed out tree with a big oval gap in the front of it, with glass stairs spiraling around the outside of it. They were like stairs that you would see in a loft, but they were sticking out of the bark of the tree. And I realized that the real Kristen is sitting in the fetal position, completely motionless, inside of the oval gap. And I realized that the real Kristen is sitting in the fetal position, completely motionless, inside of the oval gap. We're all just standing there in disbelief for a moment, and questions just start flooding my brain. Why would this thing take us directly to Kristen? Is it surrendering? Is it a trap? Was it planning to lead us here the whole time? I take a better look at the tree, and it's giving off the same illumination that her and the first staircase were giving off. I start to get those intrusive thoughts again, and I feel oddly drawn to it, but I know better than to act on them because of the first time. I look back at the other guys to see the reaction on their face, but when I look at Sam, the mimic is right next to him with her hand on his shoulder, whispering in his ear. I didn't even see this thing walk up to him. I take a step towards them, but before I could even get a word out, it whips its head towards me and mockingly says, "Porcupine." Sam's eyes are completely glazed over and he's just staring at the tree motionless. She takes a slight pause, tilts her head mockingly, and takes her hand off his shoulder, and he immediately starts sprinting towards the tree. He gets a little bit of a head start on me, but I start chasing him right away because I could tell that something's off. As we're getting closer to the tree, I could tell he's not sprinting towards Kristen, he's sprinting towards the stairs because the direction that he's sprinting is like 5 degrees off from the oval gap. I close in on him and I get one hand on his back. I was slowing him down, but I couldn't stop him from getting to the second step of the stairs because of the momentum that he had built. And once he touched it, I felt the stairs give off a vibrating pulse with each step. It was like somebody banged a drum the moment each foot hit one of the steps. I get my second hand on him and I rip him off the stairs once I get enough traction on my feet. I get him to the ground and I have to restrain him with all of my strength because he is trying as hard as he can to get back to these stairs. Sam is not a small or feeble guy by any means, and I have to use all of my strength to restrain him. But he's not fighting me. He's not hitting me. He's not pushing me. He's not even looking at me. His eyes are just fixated on the stairs and he's just clawing to get back to them. It gets to the point where I don't even think I could restrain him any longer until he just suddenly stops and goes limp. His eyes revert back to normal and he just looks at me and goes, "What happened?" He seems okay, so I look up to see what stopped him, and I see the ranger pulling Kristen out of the tree. It seems like the moment he pulled her out, he stopped. Me and the ranger look at each other, and our eyes are asking each other, "What now?" And then we all look back towards the mimic. And this thing had such a satisfied, devious look on its face, until its face started to fade away to nothing. And just like the ranger explained with the hippie, it starts to evaporate and almost become one with the forest. Once it completely disappeared, I look back to Sam to see if he's okay, and he gives me the nod that it's all good. So we immediately start putting all of our attention towards Kristen and huddle around her, and the ranger is giving her water. We're so relieved when she starts slowly regaining consciousness. It takes about a full minute for her to start making sounds and for her eyes to start opening. Once she looks coherent enough, the ranger asks her if she's okay, and she just lightly replies, "What took you guys so long? It's been days." The ranger follows up and asks her if she remembers anything, and she barely gets out, "It told me you'd come. It told me I'd be safe by the stairs." And she barely gets out, "It told me you'd come. It told me I'd be safe by the stairs." For a second, I didn't realize why that rubbed me the wrong way until Sam whispered to me, "That's exactly what the mimic said when we first found it." But this realization to me was absolutely world-shattering, because I realized that we didn't win. It's like the mimic knew we were going to find her like this, and it was mocking us from the beginning. Then even more questions start flooding my mind. Did it not want to get out of the park? Was its motive just to get us back to the stairs? And why did this thing look so deviously satisfied? We're tending to Kristen while I'm internally turning these questions over in my head. She's severely dehydrated and starving, so I don't really have time to think. We just have her slowly rehydrating from the ranger's canteen and nibbling on protein bars from Sam's pack. I want to leave so bad, but we have to wait till she's strong enough to walk herself. The forest is way too dense for us to carry her, so we just assist her about 30 feet away from the stairs because it doesn't feel right just hanging out right next to them. We have to wait there for like 30 minutes, and part of me is very curious to see if the stairs do anything, disappear, or transform in any way. We don't start questioning Kristen immediately because we just want her to focus on hydrating and getting better. We all just focus on being as gentle and consoling as we possibly can. I could tell we all don't want her to see how shaken up we are because we just want her to feel safe. Once she seems calm and content enough, we all kind of huddle up to start our game plan. Our phones are working now, and even though the data's kind of
What are you
spotty,
talking about,
we can see
King?
that we're only about a mile away from camp. Once I let them know that we're only about a mile away, I could see it in their face that we had the same exact experience, because they're as surprised as I am, because it felt like whatever the mimic did to us went on for hours. But before we could start talking and get into detail about any of our experiences, Kristen speaks up. Of course, she's asking to see if Nick is safe and okay. At this point, she's standing up and seems okay to start walking, so we all walk over
Sounds
to her
yummy.
and ensure that Nick is safe with his father. We calmly explain to her that we didn't feel safe having Nick at the campsite while we were still looking for her, just in case he tried to run off and look for her himself. She had a little bit of a shame in her face, but she nodded and accepted that as a pretty reasonable explanation. The ranger gently asks her if she's okay to start walking back to camp, and she nods obediently. So we gather all of our stuff and start walking for about 20 feet before the most putrid, heinous, sour, rotten smell hits my nose. It's like I took a whiff of the strongest smelling salt with how it shocked my system. I know that we all smell it at once based on everybody's body language. I immediately whip my head around to see if the source of it is the stairs. And of course the stairs are nowhere to be found. And the ranger looks at us and quietly but sternly says, "We need to leave right now." And the ranger looks at us and quietly but sternly says, "We need to leave right now." We all feel guilty rushing Kristen after all she's been through, but it's clear that the ranger feels like we need to leave the area with a sense of urgency. So we really start picking up the pace and moving, but it feels like the smell is following us. It smells like a mix of sour sewage, rotten meat, and sulfur. After 5 straight minutes of it not losing any intensity, I ask, "What is that smell?" Sam replies quietly because I don't think he wants Kristen to hear, and he says it's a carcass. He says it with a certainty that I know it's from experience from his days as Army Ranger. I whisper back, "What, are there carcasses everywhere? Because I don't see one." The ranger cuts me off and says, "It's following us." But he says it in a way that Kristen wouldn't be able to tell what he actually meant. But me and Sam knew what he was implying. And the look on his face was also implying that we should be quiet. He finished our whispering conversation by saying, "If you see antlers, keep your head down and keep walking." I know I can't reply verbally, but internally I cynically joke, "Great, I don't just have to worry about magical stairs and a faceless mimic, now I have to worry about a territorial stinky elk." With all the wild stuff going on, I momentarily forgot that the most dangerous thing here is still Mother Nature, and the last thing that we need is to be rushed by a 600-pound elk. We get through most of the hike back with 0 complications. We could start to see the edge of the campsite through the trees. We're only about 100 yards away from the finish line when we hear an elk scream coming from behind us. If you've never heard an elk scream, it's horrifying and borderline human-like. I encourage you to look it up on YouTube. We start to pick up the speed a little bit until we're about 20 feet away from the campsite. The elk starts to let out a second scream, but the tone changes a little bit, a half second into the scream. And it sounds like a young boy screaming "Mom." Kristen panically whips her head towards the ranger and says, "That was Nick. I thought you said my son was safe." Kristen panically whips her head towards the ranger and says, "That was Nick. I thought you said my son was safe." The ranger grabs her by both shoulders, not in an aggressive way, but in a comforting way. In a way that what he's about to say to her, she needs to listen.
I used to go elk hunting when I was younger.
Right now, we just need to get you to the
They
lodge,
sound
and the second
terrifying.
we get there, we'll call him, I promise. Okay? And then to break the tension a little bit, he says with a smile, "I just found you. Please don't go running off in the woods again." This comforted Kristen enough to get her through the tree line. When we got out of the woods, it felt like I could finally breathe again. We were only in there for about 3 hours, but with everything that happened, I couldn't believe that it was just past noon. The campsite was still empty, but we needed to get Kristen onto the vehicle and headed to the lodge before anybody came back, because it would raise a lot of questions with the other campers. Why is she still here? It was common knowledge that she was supposed to get shipped off in the morning. We could tell she's peeking towards the campsite looking for her belongings, but the ranger gets ahead of it and says, "Don't worry, your stuff left with Nick. It was the easiest way for us, so now let's get you home." In my head, I'm considering asking her what she remembers, but during the 2-minute walk to the vehicle, I can tell that she's fully under the impression that she had a couple too many and got herself lost. I can see the embarrassment building on her face, but for our current situation, that's kind of ideal because we just need to get her out of here. She climbs into the vehicle, but before they drive off, the park ranger walkie-talkies the camp guides. He alerts them to bring the campers back to the campsite because there's aggressive elk in the area, and he doesn't want them walking back after dark where they can't see one coming. And on the other end, the camp guide replies, "Don't worry, we're already on our way back to camp because there was an aggressive cold front and nobody was dressed for it." I don't know what it was about what the camp guide said, but it puts a sense of urgency into the ranger, and he starts walking away but shouts to us before he gets into the vehicle, "Boys, I'll get back as soon as I can. Stay away from the tree line, and if you smell it, hide. Stay away from the tree line, and if you smell it, hide." Me and Sam nervously nod and then watch them drive off. It's only noon and I'm absolutely exhausted. I catch myself just thinking about the devious look on the mimic's face before it disappeared, and it reminds me to check on my friend. This is the first time me and Sam have had a minute to talk since everything happened. So I just open up the conversation with, "Should we leave?" And Sam just goes, "We can't. If it was just you that touched the stairs, I'd say let's go, but I can't leave knowing that I might have just made it worse because I couldn't keep that thing out of my head." I'm not surprised at that answer whatsoever. I knew that we were staying before I even asked the question, because now he feels exactly the way I feel, responsible for all of this. I try to comfort him a little bit, and I just say, "Don't worry, man, she got me too with whatever time loop trance that was." Sam looks at me funny and says, "Time loop? Mine wasn't like that at all. Mine felt like sleep paralysis. I saw everything happening. I saw you losing it, stumbling. I saw the ranger voluntarily switch with her, and I was trying to scream, but nothing was coming out. And then she started talking to me, but not out loud. She was in my head, bro. She just kept telling me that it was my turn to go up the stairs, and that we should really stop fighting it, and that there was nothing that we could do. And she just kept asking me, do I know what the crows mean? And then I cut in and asked him, did she tell you what they meant? Because I haven't been able to stop thinking about them. And Sam just goes, no, she was just taunting me with a question. But she did say that we'll know what they mean when we get back to camp. And that was basically our cue to start walking back to camp because we're both looking for answers. I keep the dialogue going and I ask him, if our experiences were so different, what do you think happened to the Ranger? He jokingly replies, I'm sure it was something unique and horrible, but I'm much more interested to see what he knows about the source of that smell. We walk quietly for a second, headed straight towards the logs to sit down. We could see from a distance that the crows are still perched exactly where they were, and we just sit on the log straight across from them. It's funny because we were so tired, we didn't even have enough energy to be scared of the crows. We're just sitting having a standoff with these things. They're staring at us, and we're staring at them, and then the one all the way to the left just squawks and flies away. We just
You stupid lady. What in the hell, lady? You stupid lady.
Pointless to drive through here with no food, I know, but you are so handsome. Hi. Yeah, you're so handsome. Go, bro! Go! Pointless to drive through here with no food, I know.
In the beginning of this terrifying clip, a Russian hunter can be seen pointing his gun towards a large figure hiding behind dense bushes. After the first charge, the man keeps his gun pointed towards the bear, which proves to be the right choice. It is later revealed that the animal was simply being protective of her cubs, which explains her aggressive behavior. Miraculously, the man walks away unharmed. In Arizona,
How would you not pull the fucking... Poop my fucking pants. I would have pulled the trigger, so...
What was supposed to be a normal hunting expedition with some dogs turned out to be something much more horrifying. During a hunting video, this clip begins with a man being recorded preparing to shoot a large black bear sitting in a tree.
Aim just a hair high right there. Bust him in his lungs.
While this is going on, another hunter is stationed right under the tree, just in case they need him. After preparing, the man finally decides it's time to take his shot. However, things don't go quite as planned. After it walks past him, but being the
Go ahead, post whatever you
curious
want.
bear it is, it checks him out one last time. Due to the commendable calmness and the experience of the hunter, they both leave safely. Filmed in Idaho, this next shocking video begins intensely with an elk hunter
this one's
recording
crazy.
himself being stalked by a hungry mountain lion. He slowly backs up while pointing his pistol directly at the predator in case it decides to jump on him.
Get back.
These animals can jump as far as 40 feet, so as seen in this encounter, the man is only 1 pounce away from trouble. A few seconds later, the man runs out of patience, which results in this frightening moment. Despite not being hit by the warning shots, the mountain lion is now understandably more doubtful about attacking. In the end, the animal ultimately decides to let him go. At the beginning of this frightening encounter, an enormous black bear can be seen following the scent of a man resting in a tree stand. After seeing the ladder leading to his scent, the man realizes the grave danger he is in when the predator decides to do this. As soon as the animal climbs a few steps, the hunter makes his presence known, which stops the bear from climbing further.
Hey, what are you doing there? What are you doing there?
It then goes down and runs away, leaving the hunter safe and unharmed. Captured on thermal video, this clip begins by showing us a group of hunters trying to drive away a group of invasive animals. At one point, though, they spot a herd of wild boars approaching and try to drive them away also, but not without a fight.
Uh-oh, one's running right at us.
Wild boars are hard and tough animals, capable of charging toward any threat at exceptional speeds. It's not totally clear what happened to the boar. However, the hunters managed to make it out safely. This terrifying video opens by showing us a bobcat stuck in a leg hold trap that was set up by the person recording the encounter. He then proceeds to try and lock the animal using a catch pole, leading to this to happen. The man and the predator struggle for a few minutes, but when the cat starts to slowly lose consciousness, he does this.
Come on. Act right. Here we go.
After releasing the animal, he wakes it up, which proves to be a big mistake when it decides to do this.
Get. They get like this sometimes.
Thankfully, both parties remain unharmed throughout this petrifying and stunning encounter. This encounter begins by showing us a group of tourists taking pictures and videos of a giant elephant up close. Despite an African elephant being 4
Let them
meters
fucking be
tall on
animals.
average, the group still chooses to be only a few inches away from this magnificent creature. Moments later, the animal suddenly turns its attention towards them and proceeds to do something that can make even the strongest man flee in fear. After the bluff charge, the safari guide readies his gun in case things get out of hand. Standing their ground seemed to work. and they got to live another day. During a spring bear hunt, two close friends had a horrifying encounter that left them
I have some
utterly
fucking trigger.
paralyzed in fear for minutes on end. While walking along a trail in the woods, one of
People
the
have
men
trigger
glances into
discipline.
the bushes and catches sight of a large cougar. Immediately, he pulls out his camera and starts recording.
I got it right on camera. Oh, they're starting to move. Holy how big is it? I don't know for sure, but
Quietly, the men continue to shadow and film the predator as it goes about its activities, seemingly oblivious to their presence. A few moments later, the mountain lion wanders deeper into the forest, leaving the two hunters to finally sigh in relief. This next terrifying encounter begins with a guy showing us his point of view while sitting on a tree in the woods. Seconds later, he hears a stick crack behind him, so he turns the camera toward the direction, only to see this. Bears seldom attack humans on
Oh,
sight
hell no.
and even choose to avoid us, but due to their unpredictable nature, it's always best to come prepared. After seeing the predator behind him, he immediately whips out his bear spray in hopes of scaring away the animal. The man, despite the predator behind him, remains calm and does not panic, scared of aggravating the predator and escalating the situation. Thankfully, his plan works, and the bear bolts off. This next video, taken from a hunting vlog, shows two hunters stalking and trailing a bull elk they spotted earlier. After waiting for the perfect moment, they finally get the chance they were waiting for, as the elk stops in a relatively open space. One of the hunters then pulls his bow and makes his shot, but something unexpected occurs.
oh my God!
A mature bull elk can charge at a speed of 40 miles per hour, capable of seriously injuring a human if hit. After the close call, they compose themselves and move on with the rest of their hunt. Filmed in Iowa, this extremely unsettling interaction starts on a high note with a large buck approaching two hunters quite aggressively.
Don't you do it, buddy. Hang on, let me get behind you. You get the out of the way.
Despite the rather low risk of attack, the men decide not to take chances and ready their rifles as the large herbivore hangs around.
Let me get the shot. Stay back. I don't like this. Stay back. Hey. Take a walk this, buddy.
At some point, the animal seemingly gets intrigued by the decoy previously set up by the hunters, which leads to this confrontation. They eventually let the deer walk away, avoiding a dangerous fight. A group of hunters can be seen trying to remain as still as possible as a cow elk emerges from the trees beside them. Surprisingly, the herbivore decides to approach the hunters, which is extremely out of character, as these animals are usually scared and nervous of humans. After getting close to the hunters, the animal decides not to leave immediately, checking out the hunters, while still remaining cautious. The animal ultimately decides that it would be best if it ran away, so it does. and flees the scene as fast as possible. One of the hunters then loads up his bow, but unfortunately the video ends there. The beginning of this next unexpected encounter starts with two hunters recording a few elk they are planning to hunt. They try to lure their prey closer by using an instrument to mimic elk sounds while they slowly set up. A few minutes into the hunt, the animals bolt off unexpectedly, which confuses the hunters and makes them investigate further. While walking toward where the elks were previously standing, they are suddenly stopped by something truly unexpected. For the next few minutes, the pack of wolves appear to be stalking the hunters as they begin spreading out, roaming the premises. After a while, the predators seem to retreat from the area, and the men go on with their hunt as planned.
The beginning of this next encounter shows a man recording a small group of moose running around and chasing each other in a field. While recording the animals, one of them suddenly sees him recording and decides to do something bone-chilling. Able to reach speeds of 35 miles per hour, the animal covers the distance between it and the man in an instant. He proceeds to climb a nearby tree quickly to avoid the charge after seeing that there was nothing stopping the charging moose.
I'm done watching these. I fucking get stuck. All right, guys. Let me switch over to VR. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure you join the Discord server. Super great to see you again too, Missy. Thanks for stopping by. Bread boy, you're still here just lurking. I fucking love you. And awesome, I love you too. Thank you, bye-bye. In a bit.